Hi guys, when it comes to strikes taking place on the rail network, the Tory government has been attempting to paint a picture of striking workers out of touch with public opinion. It's been somewhat easier to label Mick Lynch as a union baron and the RMT in particular as a militant organisation than to do the same with nurses and junior doctors. Another approach from the Conservatives is to suggest that the strikes are changing rail users' habits. But Mick Lynch, the General Secretary of the RMT, hit back. Have a listen to this.
How much damage do you think from the existing industrial action and potential future industrial action is being done to the railways in the most generic sense, full stop? We know that COVID brought massive damage and that it fundamentally changed habits of customers, of passengers. We're seeing a lot fewer rush hour use, more social use, more weekend use of the railways post-COVID. Add in uncertainty on the part of consumers as to whether the train will even be running because of industrial action. How much damage has been done to the railway, particularly from consumer choice, which then plays to Mr. Ward's point about losses to the operating companies as a result, not just from industrial action but from changed habits? How much damage has actually been done to the railway?
Loads of damage has been done, but as I say, the damage is conceived and controlled in the Department for Transport. This is their project. They knew that there would be an industrial response from the trade unions. They decided to make what they would think of as a great leap forward and provoke the workforce and attack the workforce. So the damage has been envisaged in Whitehall by people who know very little about the railway. Rather than trying to get consent and evolution of the railway, they went for this great leap forward, and it's blown up in their faces. So the damage is being conceived by this administration, and they are inflicting the damage. They have also brought forward a set of legislation that they quickly abandoned on the future structure of the railway. Maybe they'll come back to that, I don't know. Maybe there'll be a new transport minister that'll have another idea. So the damage is being caused by the inconsistent and reckless policy of the people that are in control of the railway, which is the current administration. It's not being caused by the workforce, who are prepared to work through change that is considered and agreed rather than imposed.
I understand. You won't expect me to agree with it, but you'll understand.
Well, most people do agree with it. Most people think our rails are in a terrible state and that government policy is useless.
Let me put this into a question. I understand the perspective you're coming from, but surely you must agree that by making the railway uncertain in its operation from the eyes of the consumer, the people who pay a lot of money.
You're talking about when we're on strike or when we're not on strike?
When you're on strike.
What about the days when we're not on strike, when it's absolutely useless as well?
That's a whole other evidence session.
No, it's not. So since the timetable change that came a couple of years ago, the whole thing's been a disaster.
The question is, you must accept that people are being driven away from the railway because of the uncertainty of knowing whether it's running, because whether it's on strike or not, people are going back to their cars, they are going to coaches, they are just not travelling. We've seen the evidence from UK hospitality that the hospitality sector took an absolute bath in December when they're meant to, because people couldn't get into predominantly London.
It's not a question, is it? But I think it's your government's fault, is my answer when you get there.
Driving people away from the railway?
No, you are. Your government.
Right, okay. Mr. Ward.
Wonderful. Mick Lynch, see, these Tory MPs think that, well, okay, we're going to invite on Mick Lynch and we're going to tear him a new one. We're going to tear him apart. They fail every time. So what they're trying to do is they're trying to paint this picture, as I said before. They're trying to paint this picture of, okay, people are being turned off from relying on the trains because of the strikes. But Mick has perfectly pointed out, okay, so you're saying that people are not relying on the trains because of the strike action. Okay, and what about when we're not on strike? Are people happy with the train service? Of course they're not. Poll after poll of train user is consistently negative. People have a very low opinion of the rail network. Trains are late. Many trains don't turn up. There's issues of availability, cost. People are paying massive amounts for rail fares in respect to your other European countries, and they're very upset about that. And Mick says, okay, people are abandoning the rail network. Is it because of the strikes, or is it because of your government's action? Because at the end of the day, it comes down to the Tories. If people are not relying on the trains when there isn't a strike, that's the Department of Transport's responsibility. But if there are strikes, why are the strikes taking place? Because of safety issues, because of pay and conditions for workers. And if the strikes are taking place, the government have the ability to put in place measures to avoid strikes. There weren't strikes like this when the Labour Party were in power. The Tories are in power, and you're seeing strike after strike, and not just, of course, in the rail network, but all over the economy. The government are ultimately responsible if strike action is taking place, because they can settle it. And we've seen, especially when it comes to the rail network, how the government have scuppered deals between rail operators and the unions. This is an attempt, once again, to paint a picture of people are being turned off the rail network because of the unions. What we need to do is we need to crush the unions. We're on the side of the consumer, get rid of the unions, and then we'll have happy consumers. Well, it doesn't really work like that. So well done to Mick for tearing this guy a new one. It's wonderful to see these Tories think that, yeah, we're going to get Mick Lynch into this room, we're going to grill him, we're going to expose him, and he just holds up a mirror to them, and he's the one who's tearing new ones. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think about all of this. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot.